Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Anita Newbie. I'm so happy that you joined me today because I am going to be reviewing a movie for you entitled One Night in Miami. This movie was released earlier in 2021 on Amazon Prime, so if you haven't had a chance to check it out, you can do so. This is Regina King's directorial debut, and I was very excited and anxiously awaiting the release of this film. So I'm glad to share my thoughts about the film with you today. So stay tuned, hang on, and you will hear my review of One Night in Miami. One Night in Miami. Yes, as I said, I was anxiously awaiting the release of this film. Very excited to see this story. So let me give you a little overview of what the story is about. This story features four main characters, people that are not unfamiliar to us, okay? It is Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown. Now, these characters, these people, because they're real people, but they were portrayed in an evening one night in Miami where they came together and had a conversation. Now, let me preface this by saying this is not a true story, but it is based and inspired by true events, but it's not a true story, okay? So it's a fictitious account, kind of pieced together from some other events that happened in their lives. So let's just kind of break down the movie, some different parts of the movie. Let's talk about the acting. Acting, first and foremost, I want to make sure I get the right information to you. So it has a very strong cast. Kingsley Ben-Adir plays Malcolm X. Leslie Odom Jr. plays Sam Cooke. Eli Goree plays Cassius Clay. And Aldis Hodge plays Jim Brown. Very strong characters. I felt that they had equal strength on the screen. When we were watching it, I felt that they were very complimentary of one another. No one seemed out of place. Nothing seemed out of balance. Very strong cast. I appreciate it. Now, I will tell you this. For me, there was a bit of a challenge because when I think Malcolm X, I think Denzel Washington. I think of that portrayal of Malcolm X in Spike Lee's film, and it is very difficult for me to step away from that and to accept that someone else can play Malcolm X because Denzel did such a stellar job. So unfortunately, as I watched it, I'm comparing it to Denzel's portrayal, which I'm totally aware is not fair. However, that's what I did. Same thing with Muhammad Ali. Eli Goree, he did a very good job, but Will Smith was in the back of my mind the entire time because his portrayal of Ali was just fantastic to me. So you got to come in kind of with a clean slate if you can and not have those other portrayals in your mind, although it was very difficult for me to do. Did I mention that Leslie Odom Jr. was in this movie? Mr. Burr, sir, I just really appreciate his work. I always have, since he was on Smash, good quality TV, by the way. Yeah, indeed. Anyway, let me get back to the story. So we have these gentlemen meeting together, and what they're really doing is they're talking about their role in the civil rights movement in the 60s. So it's not just how they view their roles, because we do hear that, but we hear how the other people in the room deal with or perceive their contributions and how they're handling their fame, how they're handling their popularity. So I love the beginning of the movie. It starts out very strongly. We see a little portrayal of each character and where they're at this stage in their life and career. We see Jim Brown, the football player, is transitioning from football into acting, and we see some of his background. We see Sam Cooke is trying to, cross over and not just be an artist that only speaks to African Americans or the Black audience, but he's trying to get over into that other audience. Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, is trying to be the champ that we know he turned out to be, but he's just on the road to getting there. Malcolm X is having some challenges and trying to position himself in his community. So we see all of these characters come together, and I love the way the film started off. It was very powerful, showing each of their stories, or a hint or a bit of each of their stories, and allowing us to just get a little insight perhaps into some of the struggles they were having and some of the things that they went through. Now, I'm not going to give too much more of the movie away because I don't like spoilers, so I will do my best not to give too many spoilers. But what we do find in this movie is that they all come together and they have conversation. They have a heartfelt, thought-provoking conversation about their roles in the movement, how each holding each other accountable for what they're doing with their popularity, with their fame, with their finances, with their beliefs. There's some accountability being held there. So it's a very interesting story. So I said all of that. From a directorial standpoint, let's talk about Regina King for a minute. From a directorial standpoint, I thought it was handled very, very well. To get actors to be comfortable in a space where they're portraying and they're just releasing their feelings and their thoughts, that is difficult to capture on film, and I did think she did it beautifully. Now, with that being said, let me give you my overall thoughts about it. You might ask, did you like the movie? It was all right. I know that's not going to be a popular opinion. There are a lot of people that loved it and thought it was very powerful. And it has a lot of powerful and inspiring conversation. So if you are looking for a movie that will provoke thought, if you're looking for something that will kind of give you a retrospective view of what may have been going on during that time, this is for you. If you're looking to be emotionally moved by conversations and challenges that people were having, breaking barriers where barriers hadn't been broken before, this movie is for you. If you're looking for action and adventure, it's not for you. If you're looking for them to leave their room, it's not for you. I was so surprised when we got to the heart of the story and they were in a room having a conversation for a really long time. And at that point, I was about 45 minutes into the movie and I said, Lord have mercy, I'm watching a play. I'm watching a play. At that time, I did not know that this film was based on a stage play. So really it's an adaptation of a stage play. Let me be honest, I have challenges with that. I think I'm kind of a purist in terms of movie in terms of artistic mediums. So if it's a movie, I want it to be a movie. If it's a play, I want it to be a play. If it's a musical, I want it to be a musical. And I appreciate all those things, but I don't find that it often translates well from one medium to the next. And not that it didn't translate well from an acting or a directing perspective. For me, the story was a little flat. Now, if I go to a theater and I'm sitting in a space and people have conversations and they give monologues for 5 minutes, I'm perfectly fine with that because that is my expectation when I go to a play. When I go to a movie, however, that's not necessarily my expectation. So I was a little, not disappointed because I wasn't disappointed, but I was a little shocked that I was watching a play. You know, I had similar thoughts and feelings about Fences, similar thoughts and feelings about Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Excellent portrayals, excellent acting, but my God, if you give me another 15-minute monologue full of drama, I just don't know that I can handle that in the space of a movie. Again, if I was in a theater watching you, I would be thrilled to see that and I would be totally enthralled. There is a different energy in a live performance than there is on stage. And sometimes I believe that when you try to translate that from stage to screen, it sometimes loses the energy. So for me, while I recognize the artistic accomplishment of this film, while I recognize that it was such solid work from the acting staff. Did I mention that Leslie Odom Jr. was in this movie? Whew, I don't know. It's just something I like about him. And I don't. Did you see Love in the Time of Corona? Because if you haven't seen that, him and his wife put that together and they did that. It was like a limited series, but it was so good. Love in the Time of Corona, very compelling. And I just appreciate his work. And I'm just going to be honest with you. When I first heard him saying that Nationwide is on your side, honey, I wanted to switch my insurance. I did. Leslie had me at hello. Okay, I'm sorry. This is not at all about Leslie Odom. Again, it's a little bit about him. Well, again, the portrayals of the characters were very strong. The acting was very good. But for me as a film, to watch for 2 hours, it kind of lacked some movement. I like for films to move and develop, even if it doesn't have a nice fairy tale wrapped up ending at the end. I like for there to be some motion and some moving. So for me, there were things that happened at the beginning of the film, and then, spoiler alert, nothing happens for an hour except they talk. Not a bad thing if that's what you like. It wasn't what I was expecting. Not my favorite film, but I did appreciate it. Will I watch it again? Oh, probably not. Probably never. Well, did I mention Leslie Odom is in it? So possibly I could watch it again. No, really, it's not something that would hold my attention a second time, but I do understand why it's been nominated for awards, and I respect that because it did bring an artistic value. They did do some very strong things with the production, but at the end of the day, for Anita Newby, it was a play that somebody filmed. Doesn't always work. One of the reasons that I believe Hamilton was so successful is they didn't try to make it into a movie. They filmed the stage production. Had it been a filmed stage production, I probably would feel a little differently about it. Again, I commend all of the actors' solid performances. Just watching some of their transitions and their portrayals, I thought was really inspiring. But for me, it was just okay. I recommend you see it if you want to kind of have a better understanding of maybe some of the things that were going on during that time. And there are some very, very thought-provoking conversations. I will not deny that. So if that's what you're looking for, definitely check it out. If you want to see Regina King on the other side of the camera, definitely check it out. But if you're looking for action and adventure, this is not going to be for you. Again, One Night in Miami, available on Amazon Prime, released in January of 2021. I hope you enjoyed this review. If there are other movies that you would like to hear me review, go ahead and put it in the comments, and go ahead and let me know if you agree or disagree with me. I love to argue about movies. That is something that I love. But thank you so much for tuning in to my review of One Night in Miami.